what's going on? This is Muriel from the Sunshine Family with pros and cons about living in Costa Rica. And this specific video, I will touch on where to live in Costa Rica according to roads. Do you want to live close to a road or a little bit further away from a road? Why is this an important topic? What things to think about if you're thinking about living in Costa Rica? I have some stuff that I learned myself about it, and I'm happy to share it with you in today's video. But if you're brand new to my channel, if you no clue who I am, welcome. I moved to Costa Rica in 2018 together with my husband Dirk and two growing up kids. We came from the Netherlands, we brought our laptops and our laptop business, and that is how we are able to live and work. And one of the things that I do since 2013 is teach people from all over the world on how to start and run and grow their business, but also their online business. If that's something that you are new to but interested in, be curious, click on one of the links below my video to learn more. But for now, I'm going to touch on some stuff that I had no clue about before I lived in Costa Rica. And also it depends on where you will be going and living in Costa Rica, of course, but where to live in Costa Rica. How important is it to live close to a road, yes or no? I have a couple of things to say about it. First of all, the biggest reason why I'm making this video is because it's dry season right now where I live. I live at the peninsula de Nicoya in the area Montezuma, Santa Teresa. And it characterizes itself by bad infrastructure according to roads, a lot of dirt roads. That means no concrete or bad quality concrete, a lot of sand, dirt roads. That means in dry season when there's no rain falling, that there's a lot of dust. And what happens when you are living, let me just dive right in. If you live close to a road like I do, I have a big property, so it is 2.5 hectares. It goes way to the back. So we have space, freedom of choice where to live, but we use the existing house, which is kind of close to the road. Now, what happens in dry season? There is no rain. There's a lot of traffic because this area is exploding. A lot of brand new people are coming here though. So there's too much traffic going over those roads that the roads can handle without leaving big clouds of dust. What happens with the dust after it's in the air? It lands somewhere. Where does it land? Anywhere in and around your house. Literally, when I do this on my table, there's dust on my finger. Although I am where I'm sitting right now, I dare to say 400 meters from the roads. And there's a lot of green stuff growing, but still the dust is also landing in the back of our property where our B&B is. The full back of the property, there's dust on the table. So that dust, once it's in the air, it just goes through the air. It lands on stuff, but before it lands on something, it's also going in your lungs. So I'm going to be very realistic here. If you're going to live in Costa Rica close to or in an area where there's lots of dirt roads, be aware that in dry season, a lot of dust is going to challenge you. If you have very sensitive lungs, and I know people who have that or have kids who have that, but they are forced to move out of this area because the dust is too hard to handle. Literally, it's that serious. What is the other side in rainy season in these areas where the infrastructure is not that great? The dirt roads become mud streams, big holes, potholes, lots of traffic accidents. So where you will be living in Costa Rica and the choices that you'll be making, a road is necessary to get you from A to B. It depends on your situation which options you can choose from, I believe. Because as a family with two growing up kids, we have always lived close to roads because it didn't make sense for us to live somewhere on a property in the middle of nowhere with no public roads, but quite jungly, peace and quiet, but no road in front of you. It's a hustle when you kids have play dates, when they have to go to their sports club or whatsoever. Living in the deeper in the jungle without having a lot of roads, but a lot of silence, because roads bring noise. That's a second disadvantage. That is a disadvantage of living close by a road, is it brings noise, right? The noise is getting more intense where we live right now. So we have thought, do we want to live in an area with no roads, just in the center of the jungle? Let's buy another piece of property. But then we were like, but that's no fun for our son. Our daughter is already living her own life, but our son wants to go skateboarding in Santa Teresa, It's no life for him to live deep in the jungle and not being able to go from A to B, right? So I think the concept roads is very important, and there's lots of ways to look at roads. You need roads for yourself. It's a benefit to live close by a road as well, because it brings you from A to B. The other day, Dirk cut his small toe. Don't ask me how, I'm not gonna tell, but his small toe had 7 stitches, and we needed to get as fast as possible to the doctor in town to get stitches. Now, if you are living very far from a road, when you do not have good transportation, it's a hustle to get into town, because the buses don't really drive on time. So how do you get from A to B is of course very important. But where will you be living if you want to be close to a road for your own convenience? Are you sure that you want to live close to a dirt road? There is a lot of areas in Costa Rica where the infrastructure is not that great, but it characterizes itself by there's not so many people living. Then you have to take it for granted that it takes you longer to get from A to B, and that the roads will be in bad quality, probably in rainy season. If not a lot of people were using those roads, they're probably also not really well maintained. So that, I think I'm the only one who is making a video about roads, but I think the concept roads is so important. In that case, you can also think ahead of time. If you want to be living in Costa Rica, according to buying property, are you sure you want to buy a property that has only access to a private road? I can say something about private roads that's not sexy to share, but it's very important for you to know, for a Costa Rica expat or Costa Rica expat wannabe. I know people who bought a beautiful property which has a road, but a private road, basically meaning that only other private property owners are using that road. You share that road, but there is not a common rule on how that road is maintained. And there's lots of fights about who is paying more for the maintenance, because people who are living down at the down part of the road are stating, well, I just use this little piece up and down and up and down. And the people who live up the road, they drive up, down, up, down. They use more of the road. They should pay more. This is the reason number one why most people are unfortunately having conflicts about who is paying what and how do we maintain the road, up to situations where the road is not maintained. And I know situations where people were unable to access their house because they lived at the top of the house of the hill, had not the funds to maintain the road by themselves, because that can cost thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's possible to share it. But this is something that you should really need to take in consideration when buying property. Buying a property accessing a public road is what we have, but then we have more people using that road. Basically, we have trucks driving by lately because there's a lot of construction on the whole peninsula. So we live close to a public road, which is a dirt road. Now, perhaps you think, well, what can you do? What do you do? Do you just live with the dust? Yeah, we live with the dust, and it's no fun. It's just a couple of months per year, but we have a solution for the dust, but that comes from our own pocket. We buy melasse. That's the juice that comes from sugar cane, And there are specific companies, they put melassa on the road, and that makes it like a sticky stuff, and that keeps the dust on the road, or basically the dust will not come up. And that keeps the dust for, let's say, 80% away. But there is always a risk in the dry season where we live. There is always a moment, where do we go to put the melassa on the road? You can only do it after a mid-dry season rain period. And that is perhaps, what the heck are you talking about now? It's dry season, right? It's not raining. Well, that's correct, but there's always more or less a couple of days that in the center of the super dry season, there's a couple of days that it suddenly starts to rain. When you just had your melassa on the road and it starts to rain, guess what happens with the melassa? It just floods it's just disappearing because it cannot stand water. It's put on the road with water, but it's gone after a big rain. So you want to know the best timing to put the melassa on the road. So actually, roads and living in Costa Rica is a big thing. I don't know your situation, but I hope with my video that you just come up with new questions to ask yourself: where to live? What's the benefit of living far from a road? Or the disadvantage of living far from the road? You have to rate, and what type of road do I need? Can I live with a private road? Like, if you have a family of kids, I would never want to live very far from a road because it's a hustle, right? I know people, they live in a beautiful area up on the hill. They have to drive up like 25 minutes to get up on their hill, but they have 4 young kids. They have to drive up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down all day long. Even to get their kids on the school bus, they have to drive 25, 35 minutes over slippery roads. So that's something that we've learned, and that's why we choose to buy a property close to a public road, knowing there will be dust here. But we are hoping for the municipality to put concrete on it. There is rumors in our town that they're thinking about doing a road, and then we don't have the dust, but it doesn't keep the noise away, right? So Costa Rica is a very popular destination for new expats and tourists as well. But with all the new expats coming, of course, everyone's leaving their footprint, including us. Meaning more people are coming to live here, more vehicles will use the roads, more dust will be in the air. Some roads cannot even deal with all the traffic. In Santa Teresa, if you come in Santa Teresa right now, and especially in the early morning around 8 and around 6, it's craziness. It doesn't fit on the road. It's so dangerous. If you see what big trucks are using these small land roads, it's like, it's almost committing suicide going on a motorbike or over those roads. It's craziness. But we have to deal with the situation of the moment, and that means, it's challenging to live in Costa Rica, and not when you're living in San Jose and all the roads are with concrete and stuff. But still, what I notice is that a lot of infrastructure in Costa Rica is not okay. Even in San Jose, there's big holes, potholes and stuff. So it's a thing. We accepted it. We take it for granted. We love Costa Rica anyways. And I just want to bring you new information to help you make better decisions for your situation according to what you're coming to do here. With that being said, thank you so much for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that by using that button on the screen. Tap the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload new content. It's always Costa Rica related. Who knows, we're gonna meet one day in Costa Rica. And with that being said, see you in my next video. Ciao!